I need a bustling hallway.
Why?
So I could put it in my documentary.
Will you put me?
If you want.
I want you to blur my face out. Did you go? Did you catch the bus?
No, I'm staying after school.
I grew up in the United States, in Cleveland, Ohio.
Can you describe how your town was like?
Cleveland, Ohio. It's funny because Cleveland is actually it's kind of a cool city. It's an industrial city with nice downtown. It's some nice old 19th century architecture on Lake Erie. So it's big steel mills down in the flats, and it had a lot of money at one point. So the Rockefellers and Carnegies lived there. They had homes there and built a lot of things there because of the steel mills and the auto manufacturing in the area. So they were close to their factories. And after starting in the 1970s with kind of economic depression, it became kind of a national joke. We were the joke of the nation. The river that runs through the city, the Cuyahoga River, got so polluted at one point in the 70s it caught fire.
The river caught on fire.
The river caught on fire. So that's where I grew up.
Will they buy this? Like students?
If I bought my wall today, I have like 300 kilo in there. I carry a lot of cash. So,
Miss, do we get a discount? Because I have money right now, I can buy.
I'm going to give one of them. You know, you are going to free. You are going to get.
yeah, we can get the tiny ones. Yes. Or should we take the big ones because they're
Big ones.
If there are 15 of pick them one,
Look
yes,
at
but
this.
I'm not sure big one will be 15 of them.
You want to fight, boy? You want to fight?
Wait, then.
We need two more tiny ones. Oh wait, one.
Yeah?
Yeah, they had theirs.
My teenager time came actually early. I was in secondary, actually. I was 12 years old. I was and entered very quickly. And it was hard for me to be a teenager because I had 4 more siblings and I was the oldest one. I kind of had lots of responsibilities to look after to my siblings, and I had lots of chores at home to do it. I used to do wash up quite a lot, dusting, and that kind of helping my siblings. I thought I won't have a kids when I was I got married, but I did anyway. So you forget very quickly how much suffering you had. So I used to be kind of, I become very far from my family because I was kind of close with my father that time, my father and mother, because my siblings, the youngest one is 5 years younger than me, the next one is 5 years younger than her, so we had a lot of age in between. So when I was busy at home to look after had the course, I was missing with my friends, so I wanted to be with my friends, so I was outside quite a lot. That caused lots of trouble because we didn't used to be free now these days, it wasn't like this because I had to be at home before my father arrives, and we had to eat the dinner 6 o'clock. The rules were very strict when I was growing up, but later on my sister didn't have that kind of problem. They had lots of freedom, but because I was the oldest, I suffered quite a lot because of that, They later on continued like that until I finished the university actually. And I was going to university, I had to be in Ankara. I couldn't go outside another city because two things was together. First, we weren't that comfortable economically. We were kind of short in money, so I had to stay in Ankara. It was cheaper to me to stay in Ankara.
In middle school, I started to play the piano, and then my parents sent me to the National Conservatory of Music. I studied there for 2 years. So it was right next to my middle school. So I was leaving middle school and then going to the conservatory. So I was really enjoying that time very much. And but then my father got sick. He got a heart. He almost got a heart attack, so he had a surgery. And after that, I had to quit the music school, and then I moved to another high school.
Looking back at when you were 16, when you were a teenager, how would you describe yourself?
When I was a teenager, a little bookish, kind of nerdy. I hung out with probably people that I would consider cooler than the cool kids, but we were, people who liked, movies and art and plays and things like that. And, starting about that time in 16 in high school, we could go out in town and go to places, go hear music at like even bars because they'd let you in a lot of places too. You could go hear punk bands in bars, and there was a repertory cinema, so you could go see old films and film programs and things like that. So
I think I was very calm. I was kind of average kid. I don't remember myself being very different. Or the thing that I do remember is that I was never interested in things like alcohol or even drugs and things like that. So my parents were quiet. I think they did a good job with us because I was never curious about it. So I never was like, let's try or something.
So you were never tempted?
I was never tempted. So even if some of my friends were trying things, I was like, no, I don't like, so why should I? So, and I never felt the pressure. I never let people pressure me because so I was just quite relaxed about those things. And I was quite average girl, so yeah.
Do you think that you've been active and very academic when you were in school?
No, I probably would say, yeah, I had some academic tendencies. As I said, I liked literature, I liked history, I liked most of my classes, most of them, but I wasn't probably the most studious student for a long time. It wasn't until I was in high school and close to, a junior, that I really started working hard in school, and then in university.
Being friends with the right people is the key all the time. I think it's the same. My time was like that, until high school, actually, grade 9, yeah. I didn't have a very successful academic life, but something happened in grade 9. I had a very nice friend. She was actually, academically, she was so strong. She was the first in the school. I became a friend with her, and then later on my life changed. Learning becomes so important. I started enjoying school, and then I wanted to go to the college, university, and then she helped me so much. I think key is being friends with the right people, and even though teenage time you don't know who's the right person, so you have to be careful who are your friends. When I see my students in teenager time as well, grade 9, even though they seems very comfortable, they seems very free. I feel like they are not socially, they are awkward situation because they look so cool outside, so independent, and then but they are very connected with this telephone, their telephone. So they are very on the telephone all the time. I think socially they are not as lucky as me. We had to go to physically, we had to be there with our friends. At the moment, when your age, your partner, your friends is not the same. So usually you are socializing on the phone, on the computer, on the internet all the time. So I think that's missing. I used to enjoy that, being together with my friends physically. Of course, not everybody's not the same.
I don't think teenagers are all that different today. The circumstances of the world around teenagers today is different from when most of your teachers were younger. But I hear lots of, I hear myself doing the old guy thing where it's like, when I was a kid, it was like better because that's all it is. I say that with a little bit tongue-in-cheek, sometimes a little bit serious, but I recognize that's just a perspective. It's an age thing. I think you guys at heart have to be more serious than we had to be. Because look, I did a lot of work in high school and I had a tough high school to go to, but I was never as worried about university and getting into university as I think you guys are where I'm from, because in the United States there was never a strong perception of you've got one shot. It was always like, it was a culture where if people messed up, there was a second act. You could go to school in your 20s, or you could do it at 30, or you could start something completely new. I don't know if that's possible today as easily as it was in the past, but that's where I came from. I don't think we had to be as serious as you guys. We didn't have that sense that, okay, you have to set your life up right now, and if you don't, or if you mess it up, whatever direction you point yourself in, you're going to be stuck there for the next 20 years, 30 years. I'm not sure it's true about your lives today, but I do think there's that pressure.
Oh, you really look like Melissa.
I was in secondary school and he actually just got in the teenager time, 13 years old. At 13 years old, this one is high school one, grade 9 or grade 8 is possible. I don't remember exactly. This high school one, so must be grade 9. This one is grade 10. This one grade 10. This is the youngest one. So the national bayrams, national bayrams.
Yeah.
So this one was 19 Mayıs at Gençlik Spor Bayramı. We used to do kind of every national bayrams. We used to do something, dancing kind of dance gösteri.
Was this
Dancing
something?
show.
Yeah.
This one is when I was getting ready for my university exam actually. The private kind of course when we were getting ready for dershane, maybe you heard. You get ready for the exam.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
But now they closed down now, they don't do it anymore, but I went to that kind of course to get ready for exam.
How would you describe your teenage year in a sentence?
My teenage years?
Yeah.
My teenage years?
Just like your youth?
My youth? Sunny. Do I have to have a sentence? I'll just use words. Sunny fields full of grasshoppers and tall grass. And and an old lady coming out in big rubber boots from a house and telling me, "Be careful, there are snakes out there." That in a really weird way sums it all up. And I've always really been into the tall grass and the sun and the grasshoppers, but I keep an eye out for the snakes in the grass. It's my great-grandmother. Scared the crap out of me.